Today I'm doing a really big experiment. I've been reading this book called The Art of Fermentation, and I'm just going to go ahead and try to make some fermented cabbage. I'm not following a recipe at all. I'm loosely following some recommendations that the author gave. I'm adding my own spices, seasonings. This is completely up to my choice, to be honest. I just went in my fridge and saw what I had. So basically I'm using Napa cabbage, also known as Chinese cabbage. I'm using 2 of those big guys. And here I have a half of a red onion. I'm going to be using just the rest of the spring onion. I'm using like a half of a knob of ginger. That's like 2 tablespoons. I'm using here 1 dried chili. I'm also going to be adding some crushed red chili flakes, obviously a ton of salt. I'm using natural sea salt because that's what I have. Okay, so all I did right now is I just rinsed. I cut the cabbage into like squares like this big. I just quartered it and then sliced it down. And then I rinsed it, and then I squeezed the excess liquid and I put it in here. This is just half of a cabbage, and that's simply because I don't have the room to do it all in like in one batch, so I'm actually just doing it in increments because I think that'll be a lot easier for me. I think it'll just be an easier way of doing this, really. So I'm putting half the onion, half the ginger, half the chili. I'm gonna cut the green onion that I have long ways because it's a long green onion. And I'm cutting it in rather large pieces. And I'm gonna put half of that in there as well. Adding a bunch of chili flakes. And for this, I think I'm gonna probably do about maybe that's salt. Okay, I just did about maybe, I don't know, 2 whole tablespoons of salt. And I'm gonna give this a mix. And I'm gonna put the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I got the rest of the cabbage in there. And I got the rest of the onion and the chilies and everything. So now I'm gonna put in more salt, and basically the idea behind it is that the salt is gonna pull water out. The hotter the temperature of your climate, the faster it's gonna ferment on its own. So in the winter months it will take longer, in the summertime it will take faster. Since Taiwan gets pretty hot, this should only maybe take about like 7 to 10 days, I'm gonna think. So also, the way I'm salting it, because I'm doing dry salting, I'm not gonna really add any water. I might add a tiny bit of water. Because I'm doing dry salting, I'm going to salt to taste because I'm leaving this salt in here. I'm not gonna be rinsing it afterwards. So I'm going a bit easy on the salt. I think I use probably in total like 3.5 to 4 tablespoons, which seems like a lot, but I don't really think it will be. And I'm also gonna add a teaspoon of sugar. Maybe 2 teaspoons of sugar, just to balance it out. Okay, now the hard part. I am going to try to seal this and shake it a bit more, and then I'm going to basically start punching it down just to kind of try to bruise the cabbage a little bit and release a little bit of the moisture. So I'm going to have at that. For me, I think the best way to do this is just to use my hands. Okay, so I'm going to be doing this for maybe like another minute, and I will see you back. Okay, so as you can see, I was literally punching it. That's what I'm doing. I'm punching it over and over again. I know that seems crazy. And then I'm mixing it with my hands. I'm going to taste the seasoning just right now. It's quite salty. Hopefully I didn't make it too salty, but the guy mentioned that if it tastes too salty to you, you can always add more vegetables. And I actually have a little bit more cabbage, so I might go ahead and do that. I'm probably gonna slice up a bit more and add it to it to kind of balance it out. So I would recommend using I would start with 2.5 tablespoons. I think I was a little bit, I don't know, just didn't really know what I was doing. But I wanna show you right here is where liquid starts. I don't know if you can see that at all. So just from the action of like punching it and mixing it by hand and punching it and mixing it by hand, you see how much smaller it got. And that's really amazing, and it's just gonna continue to get smaller. And your goal is to get this liquid over the vegetables. That's your goal. I'm gonna see if I could do that. So I will see you back. Okay, so after a few minutes of working on that, I have the liquid over the top of the cabbage. Now the thing about it is you want to avoid air hitting the top of the vegetables. So usually what people do is they have some kind of device, some kind of tool that they put, like a plug. And what happens is the plug will sit on top of the vegetables, the liquid will rise above it, and then that stops from mold growing over the top of the vegetables. I don't have anything like that. I don't even have like something to MacGyver that would be similar to that. So my thing that I'm probably gonna do is if I see mold growing on like the top of some of the vegetables, you just simply remove it. That's it. There's really nothing more to it than that. It's not harmful. You're not gonna get sick. You know, basically bacteria is growing, but it's okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna seal it, because if you seal it with, for example, a lid like this, then the pressure on the inside is gonna get too high and you possibly might have your glass explode unless you release the pressure like 2 times a day. I'm not even gonna do that. I'm actually gonna put over the top, I'm gonna put parchment paper and a rubber band, and then I'm gonna punch just a tiny little hole in the parchment paper. That way some air can escape through, and I'm gonna let it sit on my counter and ferment. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I got a piece of parchment paper over the top. I am going to seal it the best I can, and I'm gonna poke a little hole. That's it, just a tiny little hole, just so the air can escape out of it. And I'm gonna let this ferment. So the guy recommends that once every few hours you like give it a mix and press it down again, let the liquid rise above, cover it again. I'll probably like in 2 hours, I'll give this a little mix, press it down, reseal it, and then I'll go to sleep. And that's it. It just sits on your counter and it ferments for like 7 to 10 days. Okay, I want to give you an update on the tsai or kimchi or fermented cabbage, whatever you want to call it. This is pretty much how I've been storing it at night. I just put a pot over it. I don't know, just because I'm paranoid. I'm like, because it's so humid in Taiwan, I'm like always afraid that what if a little critter like ants or something like that gets inside. So I'll just lift that for you. And just the way I had showed you, it is Thursday night now, and I just want to show you what it looks like. So I just put some actually in 2 Ziploc bags for my friends. So right now, about 2 days ago I tasted it and I was like, oh, I'm gonna throw this away, it's not working out, because it was like very soft and mushy tasting. But I figured, okay, I'll give it a few more days, see if it changes. And then this morning, I tasted it and it tasted awesome. It's not as salty as it was in the beginning. It's more like tangy now because of the fermentation. So yeah, probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give this maybe 1 at most 2 more days, which will bring it up to a total of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, about 5 days of fermentation. But remember, Taiwan is really hot. It's really hot and humid here in the daytime. So it ferments a lot faster than it would if you did this like in the States, you know, or somewhere cool and dry. Hi everybody. Okay, so I am updating you on the final video clip for my tsai or kimchi or fermented cabbage. I think it came out really good. I'm very happy with the results. I'll give you a look at what it looks like. There's really not a lot left. So it looks like that. And as you can see, I have a lot of liquid left, and I think I'm going to use that liquid when I ferment my next vegetables, which is going to be daikon. I'm going to slice them long ways, which is how my friend Josie, her grandma, who's from China, she does that. And when she has like this mother juice, I guess you can call it, that she just keeps using in all of her fermentations. And it has a flavor of Sichuan pepper, so I'm going to try that with my daikon kimchi. So I'm really excited for that. And next time, because I used 2 heads of Napa cabbage or Chinese cabbage, I did about 4 tablespoons of salt, and I would definitely only do maybe 3 next time at the most, because it was a little too salty. But actually, as it kept fermenting, the salt wasn't overwhelming, so that was the good thing about it. I only let it ferment on my counter for 5 days, 5 full days in total, because I kept tasting it, and after 5 days I felt like it was exactly where I wanted it. It was pungent, and it was very crunchy when I bit into it, and it has a very sour flavor, like almost as if you added vinegar to it, but there is no vinegar in this. And that's the amazing thing about fermenting vegetables. It creates its own sourness, which is really cool. Like I said, the book doesn't give you any measurements. It gives you a ratio of, like an idea of how much salt and a little bit of sugar you should put in there, but there's no measurements, which is nice, because I think the author gives you the opportunity to really feel like you don't need to do something any certain way. Okay, so this is the book. It's called The Art of Fermentation, and the author, his last name is Katz. I'm not sure. His name is Sander Katz. And it's an in-depth exploration of essential concepts and processes from around the world. So it's a really great book. I haven't read all of it. Like, I didn't read the one about making alcohol because, I don't know, I'm not really interested in that. Maybe one day I will be, who knows. But how I like to eat tsai or kimchi, because, you know, not everyone really knows exactly how it tastes the best to eat. So my favorite way of eating it is to actually, in a little sesame oil, just stir fry some garlic and maybe some fresh sliced chilies, and then I add the kimchi and I just like stir fry it a little bit, and then I like to add an egg and lots of fresh green onion chopped. And then I'll take like a tsongyo, being like a green onion pancake that's Chinese, and cook that, and then kind of like put the egg on it and roll it up. And I think that that is really good, and you can make it in a variety of ways. Another very popular, very common way to eat tsai is just put it in soup. It will like give the soup some heat and some sourness. You can eat it with meat. The possibilities are endless. Like, you can even get really creative and like put it on a hot dog and make like a Japanese style hot dog. So, or like an Asian style hot dog. So yeah, I hope you give this a try. And if you do, let me know how it comes out, or let me know what your favorite way to ferment vegetables is, because I would really be curious to know. And until next time, guys, bye.